This week, we're going to talk about the rental reform bill. What's it going to lead to? Is it courtroom chaos? Is it going to be smooth sailing? According to Landlord Zone, the Renters' Rights Bill is racing through Parliament. It'll possibly be done this sitting. But will this lead to courts being unprepared, court chaos due to limited capacity, landlords left in legal limbo? Will that happen? That's a potentiality, I believe. What are the key points? It's entered its report stage at the House of Lords on the 1st of July, with further readings on the 7th and the 15th. Peers have until the 26th to propose final amendments, despite 280 plus proposed changes, the majority of which have been rejected, including key changes to landlord protections like delaying the Section 21 ban and retain fixed student lets. It looks like it's going to be pushed through. The likelihood of passage, experts are split. Some doubt the bill will pass before the summer recess, but others are arguing it's in the government interest to finalise it now so guidance can be prepared during the recess. Even after royal assent, implementation could take 6 to 12 months, with measures likely to be staggered due to complexity and need for statutory instruments. So really, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying, I'm going to sell my buy-to-let or I'm not going to buy buy-to-let, we could be looking at a 3, 4, 5 year introduction period. So that gives us plenty of time, and as we know, when you change one bit of the law, it's like a rubber mat. You change one bit of the law to cover a loophole, another hole appears behind that loophole. So always new loopholes will appear, and there'll always be clever people like tax accountants, like company formation people, like savvy portfolio managers who will find ways to take advantage of what has been changed. So let's not go too upset about it. What does it mean? The court capacity concerns, what does that mean? Basically, Baroness Scott warned that UK courts are not equipped to deal with the expected surge in repossession claims once Section 21 is abolished. The backlogs will be growing, courtrooms are understaffed, it'll lead to a crisis, judges are stretched thin. She's pushing for a mandatory readiness assessment, again, which has been rejected, which all indicates to me that the government are just trying to push it through come what may. There's a real risk of system failure. Lord Cromwell stated the digital court reforms are still evolving and could take 5 years to become reliable. So the landlords will be facing significant risks, including months without rental income and mounting mortgage arrears if all this sort of stuff goes on. The government's response has been, Baroness Taylor insists no delays are needed and claims reforms will ultimately reduce court claims. Yes, they will, in the future. But what about people in the short term? And that's what they just don't think about. The government remains committed to moving forward without a formal court capacity review. It's absolute madness.
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're enjoying this piece of content and would like to find out more about buying property and our key 10 steps to doing so, then pop your details in the link below somewhere and grab a copy of our book, 10 Steps to 10K, the Expat Property Playbook. Enjoy.
So what's the takeaway about this? While it's moving fast, cracks in the legal infrastructure are showing. For landlords, the abolition of Section 21 without proper court reform could mean longer voids, more legal friction, and fewer safety nets in a tightening rental market. What does it look like? To me, a typical ill-considered and poorly introduced mess. So it's nothing new there from governments. I mean, look at the EPC situation, as we covered last week in the market wrap. As of March 2023, 67% of homes in the UK have at least one EPC. 67%, okay? The reliability of EP performance certificates is being called into question, though, with calls to overhaul the claims of inaccuracy and misleading processes. Last week, the lady said she got 3 light bulbs changed and she got an upgrade. A recent Which report said there's substantial evidence that the metrics and information in many EPCs may be misleading, and homeowners, tenants and landlords and policymakers could be making decisions based on inaccurate information. That's a Which report. Rocio Concha of the consumer body Which told The Observer current EPCs are in desperate need of reform, as too often the information and advice they contain is inaccurate, difficult to understand or unhelpful. Government subsidies and grants for energy efficiency improvements will hinge on EPC ratings of properties, ensuring that the final support is directed where it's most needed. However, if the EPC is out of date or incorrect, it's not going to come through. Furthermore, EPC ratings don't reflect subsequent home improvements, and any property that undergoes significant upgrades after an EPC is issued will still be rated at the previous state unless they apply for a new assessment to occur. And as I said, in South Wales, there's only 2 people doing this. The accuracy of an EPC assessment depends on the assessor, and the discrepancies have been identified between predicted and actual energy performance. That's what happened by pushing EPC through quickly without proper consideration. Is the rental reform bill the same thing? Yes, I believe it is. It is important to help some tenants, but the majority of landlords are good people and they don't mistreat their tenants. They look after them. In my view, it's a sledgehammer to kill an ant. So now, that's it for this week, but let's go through some questions we've had. CBGE Monkey said, wow, a standard that councils don't have to abide by. The council I am currently in has concrete cancer for decades, and they just keep on adding cladding to the outside to disguise it. Well, under the rental reform bill, they won't be able to do that. They have to make the place proper, and they've got 3 weeks to do that. If not, you can take them to court. Hence, while there'll be a huge amount of court cases going on, both landlords trying to get people out and tenants trying to get their landlords to fix things. But councils like that should be ashamed of themselves. But again, where's all the money gone? The government's cut funding, so they don't have the money. So it's central government causing the problem. Amen 19 R5F. I hear on so many channels, buy-to-let isn't worth it anymore. It's nice to hear that it is. For sure it is. Think about the positives. You buy somewhere, you put down, say, a 30% deposit, which is, yes, more than you do in the UK, but 30% deposit, you try and get the rental yield up as close to 6% plus, you get a tenant, then you look after them and take care of them, and they will pay that mortgage off for you. And if they don't pay it off, inflation will. So that's the real key. Inflation and the tenant will pay it off. Hey, but what if the house doesn't go up in value? Well, so what? You put 30% in and you get 100% back in 15, 16 years' time. You don't get that in the equity markets. You don't get that with currencies or commodities. You have to invest 100% into those to get your returns. This is a way of leveraging your money, which has been a time-tested and successful way of generating wealth in the future. Yes, the baby boomer period might have gone and we're not going to see 100% returns. But having said that, 15, 16 years down the track, the mortgage will be paid off and you'll have an income-generating asset. And if it's only gone up by, let's say, 30% in value, it's still 30% you put down, 70% is paid off, and it's gone up by another 30%. That's a great investment if you ask me. Thanks for listening. Take care. And don't forget, APW book. You can learn how we advise our clients how to make the most out of the UK property market. Thanks very much. Cheerio.